Hey there, it's Tanya from Azteco. Now, there's a time and place for strategic thought leadership. However, in this video series, we want to focus on action leadership, the people who are driving Bitcoin consumer adoption by making it easier and simpler to use. And so I am delighted to welcome here today Carol, the co founder of Area Bitcoin. Carol, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tanya. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm pretty happy to share with you and learn with you as well all the histories about Bitcoin and the importance of this magnificent tool for freedom, for sovereignty, and for everyone in the world.
Can you please go ahead and share with us, what's your background, who you are, tell the people more about you?
Okay, I'm Carol, co-founder of Area Bitcoin. I started in Bitcoin in 2018, just learning, falling into the rabbit hole, trying to learn. And I was a dentist. I wanted to accept Bitcoin in my clinic. And that's how I got into the rabbit hole because I didn't know how to start, how to accept Bitcoin in the clinic from the clients, right? So I started to learn, to study, and in one point in this journey, I started to think if I need this kind of content of education or learning how to accept Bitcoin in my business, maybe other merchants would like to learn it as well. So me and Kaka, my partner in Era Bitcoin, and at that time at the clinic as well, we started to create content on YouTube, Instagram, articles, everything that could help other merchants to also accept Bitcoin. And we didn't know that there was a huge demand, and not just about how to accept Bitcoin, about everything about Bitcoin. So we started like 5 years ago, seems like 40 years ago, because in Bitcoin time flies so fast. And that's how I started in Bitcoin. Wanted to accept it and wanted to receive it and wanted to see it flourish through circular economies. And from there to now, area Bitcoin started to grow. Other Brazilians merchants started to consume our content, and that's how I started in Bitcoin, trying to learn to accept it in my business.
And what is Area Bitcoin?
Okay, area Bitcoin is a Bitcoin school. So we started creating free content on social medias, all kinds of content. What is Bitcoin? How to accept? Um, Bitcoin energy. Bitcoin wastes too much energy? Yes or not? Bitcoin, what? Everything, all the questions that people brought to us, we started to create free content. So fiat is a mindset. And we noticed that the fiat mindset don't let you question what is money, how does it work. You you have you have bad choices with your money. You do everything in the long term. You have consumerism. So we start to notice that Bitcoin connects to a lot of areas, like okay, money, merchants, and there's a lot of content, a lot of areas that Bitcoin can connect. And that's why we started to create like workshop courses to help people to develop sovereignty and learn to do everything with Bitcoin. Like learn what is money, learn to do DCA, or learn how to use a wallet, for example, or how to accept in their business, how to have more privacy. And that is what Era Bitcoin is, a school where you can learn and connect all the subjects and develop the Bitcoin mindset. So you can opt out the fiat mindset that keeps you in the system where your money is devaluated, you are not free to use your money the way you want, and inflation consumes all your purchase power.
So, coming back to that first experience that you had on when you first met Bitcoin, what that was like, how things have changed now, and how you want to have other people see Bitcoin and learn about Bitcoin for the first time.
That time was really different. When me and Kakai started in 2018, 2019, usability in Lightning was not a subject. It was not talked into the communities, into the groups. And it's amazing to see how it flourished and how it's common today to talk about Lightning Network, how it is easy to send and receive Bitcoin. So for me, the biggest mark is the growth of Lightning and people starting to use Bitcoin in daily life. Because at that time, Bitcoiners only wanted to hodl. and not to send and receive Bitcoin, right? So this changed a lot, and I'm pretty happy because that's how I started. Wanted to receive Bitcoin and wanted to exchange Bitcoin with other people, right? I wanted to receive Bitcoin and I wanted to pay other people with Bitcoin. So it's amazing to see this growing. Of course, it's not perfect. There's a lot to grow, but it's way different than when I started.
And then how can people learn and know how to use Bitcoin now that you mentioned Lightning, and how maybe that's changed and that's lowered the bar for the average person to kind of get in? How would you describe that?
I think that first of all is understand Bitcoin. How does it work? Like, what is the time of a transaction to be processed through, okay, on chain and through Lightning? What is the difference between wallets? What a Bitcoin on chain wallet does? What an, a wallet on Lightning does? How you can have a wallet that has both in the same one? So for me, usability has grown a lot, and there's a lot to grow as well. And people need to learn about how to use wallets. So this is the main challenge for me today, is how to help people to use Bitcoin wallets and have sovereignty on chain and also on Lightning. Um, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, so essentially, you just mentioned that anyone can just go ahead and buy Bitcoin and use an easy Bitcoin wallet. And then I want to follow up then for my next question, which is how has Area Bitcoin helped people buy Bitcoin through Azteco vouchers?
Oh, great. We have articles, we have videos, small videos, bigger videos, tutorials, all the formats that anyone can relate to learn about Bitcoin and how to use Azteco vouchers. So can learn how to purchase in cash or in go to a store, a retail store, or all the formats of content to learn to do it, and all the formats that Azteco has to offer for people to access Bitcoin all the parts in the world and in an easy way, right? So our biggest challenge is to connect people with Bitcoin, and then Azteco, it's an easy tool to use. So that's the spark we want to start, the curiosity for Bitcoin and how Bitcoin can help them to have more financial freedom and to store and spend Bitcoin.
And can you just elaborate more on how Area Bitcoin is helping people take ownership of their sovereignty?
Okay, we have a lot of free content online, and where we explain Bitcoin from zero until technical level. We have articles in our website. We have also workshops where people can learn. So sovereignty is a process, right? You learn one step and then you learn another step and then you learn another step, because in the current fiat system we are teached to depend on third parties, depend on banks, depend of others. And in Bitcoin you can be your own bank, you can be sovereign, you can have your own money without third parties. So to change the mindset for people to feel capable and responsible and have autonomy to take care of their own money and have responsibility, it's our main goal. And we create content, educational content, theoretical and practical content, to help people to go through each step of sovereignty. First, to be their own bank with a easy wallet to use, like a cell phone. Later on, people can have like a hardware wallet. We have like a course where people receive as a gift a hardware wallet, for example. So we do everything that's in our reach to help people to go step by step until the highest level possible at this moment of sovereignty. So this is our goal, to help people to go through all the Bitcoin steps and involve and feel sovereignty, because also sovereignty is to feel capable of do things, right? When you feel capable, you get this responsibility that Bitcoin uh, gives to anyone, right? But you need to feel capable. And to feel capable is to develop this Bitcoin mindset and to be familiar with all the tools that are available to everyone today.
Can you go ahead and share with us, your favorite Bitcoin story? Not to say that it's difficult, I'm sure, to pick one, but just if you had to share one with us today.
There's a lot of stories, and for me, the most maybe fun or curious is people starting to accept Bitcoin, and they don't know how to manage the wallets, right? So there's a lot of things that happen in the process, and one of them was in the beginning we were trying to help our friends to understand Bitcoin, and we gave them some Bitcoin, some like $5 or something like that, and we said, okay, don't lose your seed, don't lose this wallet. And 2 years later, they just called us and said, uh, I lost my seed phrase. What can I do? So, but it was a small amount. So this story tells us that people, when you want to give Bitcoin to them and they are not ready for it, maybe it's not their moment, right? It's not a happy story, but it, te- this teaches that when people are ready, they will learn and they will use all the tools and they will connect to Bitcoin. But if you force it, if you want to make them learn by giving Bitcoin, and if they are not ready, they will not take care properly. So I think this is one of the stories we have with our own friends that we really wanted them to learn and to do it. But one time later, so like 2 years later, they came back, and that's what we see all the time: people coming back to Bitcoin. They read about it like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and then they make this moment to pass. They don't pay attention to Bitcoin, but through time everyone will feel curiosity and will come back to Bitcoin. So no, it's a small story.
And in your opinion, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for Bitcoin consumer adoption in 2024?
To me, it's going to be CBDCs, because, especially here in Brazil, because in Brazil, this CBDC process, launching the CBDC is quite advanced. And the banking system here in Brazil is also really advanced. But we also have history of hyperinflation. We also have history of 8 or 9 currencies that devaluated and were dead through time. Like we have like 19%, 19 quadrillion percent inflation in like 80 years. It's a lot. So we had price controls, we had savings confiscations in the 90s. But in Brazil, people forget about it. They are really comfortable with banking system, right? So Bitcoin changes it, because with Bitcoin, you can't create more coins. Bitcoin avoids hyperinflation. You can't have inflation uh, beyond what is projected in Bitcoin. You can't create more Bitcoin. So for me, the biggest challenge is to help people see that Bitcoin is completely different from a speculation. It's completely different from fiat. It's a tool that everyone can have to keep purchasing power, and don't be so dependent of the system that impoverishes them. Because if we take this time where we had like a lot of currencies that were devaluated by hyperinflation, this created a lot of poverty here in Brazil. Real, the currency we use right now, is making 30 years, and in 30 years already lost 87% purchasing power. That's a lot in such a small period of time. So in 2024, we're going to see Drax, Brazilian CBDC, being launched, and Bitcoin is always there for people when they want it, but they need to see it that they need Bitcoin. So I think that the biggest challenge is to help people see how Bitcoin is different from a CBDC, and CBDC only amplifies what this fiat system that impoverishes them and propagates hyperinflation, inflation, and through time tends to devaluate their purchasing power and their wealth, right? And when it happens, you can't use fiat. Fiat fails completely. They need to create another coin and another system, another means of payment. And through Bitcoin, we have the most solid financial system, but it's small right now compared to fiat. So for it to grow, we need people to see how it is different from fiat and different from CBDCs that, in my opinion, are being created to compete with Bitcoin. And but I think that through time and with all of these examples of um, fiat failing and collapsing across the world, step by step, people are going to connect to Bitcoin and use it. And depending of the velocity of each person and each financial system, it will make faster or slower for each population to do it. So I think CBDCs are going to be a big challenge, but Bitcoin was made to survive, was made to grow, even in this challenging environment.
And then, in order to actually help the expansion of Bitcoin, what advice would you give to companies that are hesitant to wanting to adopt Bitcoin?
Um, Companies are going to need a Bitcoin or a Bitcoin strategy or to accept Bitcoin because people will want to pay them in Bitcoin in some way, or their employees will want to receive in Bitcoin, or they will need to have Bitcoin in their treasuries. So sooner or later this will happen. So the sooner you learn about it and you get involved with Bitcoin and you learn what is money, what is not, for what Bitcoin was made, for what it was not, the better for you and for your company and for all your environment inside your company. And the longer it will last, right? Because everyone, every company, every CEO wants a company that lasts forever and to be profitable, right? So in the fiat system, you need to have debts. You need to. It's hard to survive as a company, and if you have Bitcoin, you can see your company get stronger through time. We are seeing this with MicroStrategy, for example, with Michael Saylor, and a lot of companies that are integrating Bitcoin in their treasuries. And hopefully, in the future, every company will have a Bitcoin strategy. At least we will accept Bitcoin. So the sooner you start, the better for your company and for you.
Do you have any last remarks that you would like to share with us today?
Um, Study Bitcoin, help everyone around you because it's not easy. Every time there's a different concept that emerges and a lot of questions. Sometimes you think you completely understood Bitcoin and other times not. So to me would be keep studying Bitcoin, keep learning about fiat and accept Bitcoin, because when you accept Bitcoin, you start a circular economy. You at least will have educational moment with your clients, and this happened a lot through my journey and Kaka. When we go to places that accept Bitcoin, that moment when we are paying the product or a service becomes a moment of education. Merchants always ask, how do I accept through Lightning? I never used it. Oh, how do I send from my wallet to another wallet? So this becomes a unique moment, and other merchants that are around or other clients start to participate in the conversation, and this knowledge spreads, right? So for it to spread, we need to start talking, we need to start using and accepting Bitcoin.
Thank you so much for your time, Carol. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tanya, and see you next time.